Welcome to the SYRAS video guides. This is the second guide in the series, which discusses importing your data from your journal databases. So let's. This assumes that you have already watched the first video about managing your account, logging in and registering and so on. So let's log in. The first thing you need to do before you can start importing data and screening is you need to set up a project. A project is really just a container for your review. If you have a more complicated review, you may end up with multiple projects, maybe representing multiple phases. But if you're simply screening a bunch of articles, then you just need to create one project. So let's just call this, I don't know, phase 1 review. You can call it whatever you want and you can edit it later. So let's create that. When you open a project, it becomes active, and an active project has a link at the top here. You can click this project home at any point if you're in the middle of screening, and it takes you back to your active project. Again, this makes more sense when you've got multiple projects. When you've only got one, it's the only project. So the first thing you need to do is click the Manage button. As administrator, you need to click the Manage button, and it takes you to your project management screen. The document management section on that is the first one. It tends to be in order, so you go from top to bottom through the management screen while you're setting up your project. So the first thing it shows you is that you've got no article references imported yet. And there's no duplicates because there's no articles. We'll get on to deduplication later. The first thing you need to do is you need to import some article references. SYRAS tries to know what state you're in. So the first thing it's done is it's opened this section here and shown you that it's putting this upload button there. That's the first thing you need to do. Later on, you may find that there are things further down the screen that it will tend to jump you towards those things when you need to do them. So this screen the Manage Project screen will look a little bit different depending on where you're at in the process. Okay, and you'll see that in these videos. So the first thing you need to do is to upload a file that you have exported from one of your journal database searches. SYRAS can support 4 different file formats at the moment. One is RIS, pretty common. Also the NBIB format from Medline or PubMed, and also 2 types of EndNote, both XML and JSON. Sometimes these are a little bit difficult when you're exporting to know exactly which ones they are, but there are other programs that can help you convert between them. I think RIS is pretty much the most common. RIS, I'm not sure how you say it. So let's have a look at importing one of these. And the example I'm going to show you here is importing 3 files, because I know that it's pretty common that you will have exported different fragments of your search from different journals, for example, and you will be importing those over the top of each other. So let's do that as an example. There is a 16 megabyte maximum file size limit in SYRAS at the moment. And there are some other options down here which I'll discuss in a moment. So first of all, let's just go and pick a file. Here we have, just off the screen there, we have this export from PubMed, which has 457. And if you try and upload, it does ask you to click one of these. I need you to select which format it is. It's a little bit difficult for the system to detect which format it is, and the file extension might be different. So I've left it so that you have to actually click, because you're the one that knows where you've got this from and what format it's in, rather than it going in and getting all messed up. So it's noted that it's 2.56 megabytes here, which is fine. It's going to be appended to your data set. So let's upload that. It will take a few moments depending on the size of the file, and at the top of the screen here you will see that it's put a couple of little notices. These are in green, meaning that everything's okay. If they're in red, then something bad has happened. You may see some problems here when you import files. You may see that there were some corrupted records or certain articles weren't found. It could say 456 articles were found, one was bogus, all sorts of funny things happen in some of these files. They get corrupted or they have the wrong line endings, or I don't know. So this looks good, and now we can see that that there are now 457 references in our database. You don't have to close these, but you can. They go away. You can also see that this little not checked has arrived here, and that's telling you that that SYRAS has noticed that you've uploaded some references, but you haven't deduplicated them yet. And as I said earlier, it tries to prompt you with the next step in your journey. At this point, though, we actually want to import more articles, so we're going to close that. We don't want to do deduplication at the moment. What we want to do is we want to import more article references. So let's go back to this option here, and we just repeat the process. So let's import something from PsycInfo, and again we pick XML EndNote, which is what it was. And we will see this number here has gone up to 878. There were 421 found in that file. Now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to upload a third set, Medline, and upload those. Now you see I forgot again, so it's prompted me. So EndNote XML, upload that please. And this is being appended to our dataset. Okay, so we've now got 1409 references in the SYRAS database, and the next thing we need to do is scan for duplicates. Now I'm going to discuss deduplication in a separate video, so let's just pause that for the moment. Now, going back to importing references, let's say you've got mixed up and you've imported the wrong thing. It can happen. Let's say that when you opened this dialog here, you picked something else, or you thought, hang on, did I get to the fifth one or whatever? So if you make a mistake, you can always start over again. What you can do is you can use this option here, replace all project data. This allows you to reset the whole project, and it prompts you that you're going to do that. So let's start again, and let's say we're going to just import one of these, 531, and it's warning you, you're going to replace your dataset, this many, and let's do that and see what it does. So this should go down to 531. So it's found 531, it reset the project, and it says it's okay. So if you make a mistake, you can always start again. You don't have to go and delete the project, which you could do. You could come out here and you could close this project, you could delete it, and you could create a new one. That's a completely sort of brutal way of doing it. You don't need to go that far. You can just reset the project like this. Another thing you can do when you're importing is, let's say we're importing, oh, that's the same one. If we import this file here, you can shuffle, you can shuffle the articles during the import. Let's say you've exported this from a database, but the articles that are the references that are in this file will be in a certain order depending on the journal export. That may introduce some kind of bias into your data set, and when you get to screening later, you may not want that bias, say if they're, I don't know, in alphabetical order or something. So you can randomize the articles as you import them. Later on, there are more randomizing options, so you don't have to do this now. If later on you're going to use article sets and subsets, you can randomize them down there. But if you're only going to have one article set, then you should really randomize your data as you import it. What you will notice once you've imported your data, I'll get into this into more detail later, is that in the next step here, screening process management, an article set has been created. So when you import your articles, they all go into this all articles set. And you can see how many articles there are in that. This is the superset of everything in the SYRAS database for this project. Later on, you can get complicated and you can split that out to do workload distribution workflows or disagreements reviews and so on. But if you're just doing a simple review of a single set, then this is all you need, this all articles here. I'll get into that in more detail later. So that's pretty much everything about importing articles. Just make sure you get the right format here. There are size limits. SYRAS isn't infinitely powerful. Some of these documents get bigger, too big for it to handle, so you may need to split them up and import them in smaller pieces, things like that. So hopefully that was useful, and in the next video we will go on to the next step, which is the crazy world of deduplication. Thank you.